Have you ever said, "I'm fine," when you really weren't? That familiar phrase, so simple yet loaded with an entire world of suppressed emotions. Especially for men, "I'm fine" often becomes a mask hiding pain, pressure, and vulnerability. But why do they choose silence over sharing? Is it societal pressure, fear of judgment, or simply not knowing how to express their feelings? Today's video delves into this story. We'll explore the impact of suppressing emotions, the Stoic philosophy on confronting reality, and some simple steps toward change. Stick around until the end to discover why acknowledging your true feelings doesn't make you weak. It empowers you to live more authentically and strongly. If you're new to my channel, don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button and like the video to receive more awesome content. In the dim light of early morning, Emperor Marcus Aurelius sat quietly in his chamber, a parchment spread out before him and a quill ready in his hand. He had just endured a long night weighed down by heavy thoughts. The Roman Empire under his rule was facing countless challenges: persistent threats from barbarian tribes on the northern frontiers, increasingly complex internal political issues, and unrest among the populace. The responsibility of an emperor, which seemed like the pinnacle of power, was in reality an unrelenting burden understood by no one. But Marcus did not allow himself to sink into panic or helplessness. He knew that if he fled from his emotions, if he tried to ignore or suppress them, he would lose the calmness necessary for sound decision-making. Therefore, he returned to his daily habit, writing. In the lines he recorded, he did not hesitate to acknowledge his fears, pressures, and fatigue. He faced them all, without avoidance or justification. Marcus wrote, "See things as they are. Do not exaggerate, do not conceal. That is the way to keep the mind clear." For him, Stoicism was not just a lofty theory but a practical tool to master his mind amidst unending turbulence. He understood that emotions were not enemies, but neither should they dictate his actions. They were signals, waves that come and go, and his task was to recognize, observe, and let them pass naturally. Emperor Marcus Aurelius did not write these pages for anyone else. They were not records for posterity or a showcase of his intellect. These writings were for himself, a means to reflect on his inner self and ensure that every action arose from clarity, not fear or anger. Through each page, he reminded himself of what truly mattered: maintaining virtue, avoiding the chaos of the external world, and living a life true to himself. One night, burdened by issues of war and politics, Marcus wrote, "Fear is natural, but ask yourself, what good does it do? Can I control anything beyond my reaction to it?" For him, facing emotions was not a sign of weakness but of true strength. It was like standing in the midst of a storm, not trying to extinguish it, but anchoring himself so he wouldn't be swept away. From the story of this emperor, we learn that emotions, whether positive or negative, are an inherent part of life. No one can avoid fear, anger, or sadness. But as Marcus Aurelius did, we can choose to confront them instead of running away. He taught us that strength does not lie in hiding emotions, but in observing them calmly and using them to guide actions. As the morning light gradually seeped through the window, Marcus folded his parchment. He felt lighter, not because all problems had been solved, but because his mind had been reorganized. His emotions had been acknowledged, and he was ready to face the new day with the challenges awaiting him. Do you have the courage to do as Marcus Aurelius did, to acknowledge your true emotions, face them, and find strength within? Think about the last time you heard a man say, "I'm fine," even when every sign, from his voice to his eyes and gestures, told a different story. Why do so many men choose to hide their true emotions? This behavior doesn't arise naturally, but is shaped over years of cultural, educational, and societal influences. From a young age, boys are often told phrases like, "Men don't cry," or "Be strong, don't be weak like a girl." Whether said with good intentions or not, these messages instill the belief that emotions are something to be hidden to preserve masculinity. That boy grows up believing that tears signal weakness, and showing vulnerability risks damaging the strong image society expects of him. Men also conceal their emotions out of fear of judgment. In a world where honor and reputation are often valued above personal feelings, Admitting struggles can be seen as failure. A man might fear that if he acknowledges anxiety about work, insecurity in a relationship, or even unexplained sadness, others will view him with disdain. This fear of being judged drives many to stay silent, maintaining an exterior of calm even when they're wrestling with inner turmoil. They choose "I'm fine" not because it's true, but because it's the quickest way to avoid questions they're not ready to answer. Additionally, many men simply don't know how to articulate their feelings. Not everyone is taught the importance of emotional communication, especially in a world that often prioritizes logic and action over empathy and self-awareness. For them, identifying and naming their emotions can feel like navigating uncharted territory. Sadness might just be labeled as tiredness. Anxiety might be reduced to thinking about something. The language of emotions is foreign to them, where even the simplest feelings become confusing and complex. Rather than struggle to express themselves, they take the easier route, ignoring and hiding. These factors are not isolated but deeply interconnected, creating a dangerous cycle. A man who isn't allowed to cry, fears judgment, and struggles to express himself will find it safer to say "I'm fine," even when it's far from the truth. But this sense of safety is an illusion. Continually hiding emotions doesn't make them disappear. It causes them to accumulate, leading to harmful consequences for both mental and physical health. Studies have shown that suppressing emotions increases the risk of conditions such as high blood pressure, depression, and heart problems. It also affects personal relationships, making it harder for men to connect deeply with others, whether it's their partner, children, or friends. It's disheartening that in a modern society where sharing and connection are increasingly encouraged, so many men still feel unable to express themselves honestly. They live in solitude even when surrounded by loved ones. But this issue is not without solutions. The key lies in dismantling false beliefs about masculinity, changing how we raise boys, and encouraging men to confront their emotions. The truth is, admitting "I'm not fine" doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. And only by facing your true feelings can you find the strength to overcome them. Marcus Aurelius once recounted the story of a young Roman general who always appeared calm and resolute in every situation. When asked about his state of mind after a significant defeat, the general simply replied, "I'm fine." Yet behind this composed facade, the young leader struggled with shame, anxiety, and helplessness. He couldn't admit these feelings to himself, let alone express them to others. His "I'm fine" demeanor seemed a symbol of strength, but it soon became the very cause of his downfall. Marcus observed that hiding emotions is like placing a heavy stone over a flame. It doesn't extinguish the fire, but instead intensifies the heat, waiting for an inevitable explosion. For this young general, the effects became apparent through physical symptoms. He began losing sleep, his mind was perpetually tense, and his body grew weak. Marcus, ever attuned to the interplay between emotional and physical well-being, recognized that when a man refuses to confront his emotions, he harms not only his mind, but also his body. "I have seen many who were defeated not on the battlefield, but within their own minds," Marcus wrote. Unaddressed mental stress manifests as chronic headaches, relentless insomnia, and even severe illnesses. He understood that the human body is not designed to endure prolonged emotional suppression. Concealing fear or vulnerability only compounds the burden, leading to severe consequences for health. The harm extended beyond the general's body. His personal relationships also suffered. The soldiers under his command no longer saw him as an approachable and trustworthy leader. They felt distanced because he never revealed his true self. His comrades didn't know how to support him, and his family felt excluded from his inner world. Over time, the general became a lonely figure, surrounded by people who cared for him, but unable to connect with any of them. Reflecting on this, Marcus wrote, "Hiding emotions is like building a wall around yourself. It keeps others out, but it also traps you inside." He understood that when a man says, "I'm fine," to mask his true feelings, he is not only deceiving others, but also lying to himself. He denies the real issues and, as a result, never addresses them. This harms not only his present, but also stunts his growth and progress in the future. Furthermore, Marcus recognized that suppressing emotions often leads to unhealthy coping mechanisms. He had seen soldiers drink excessively to escape their fear of battle. He witnessed officials turn to gambling or other destructive indulgences to momentarily alleviate work-related pressures. Yet these temporary measures never addressed the root cause. They only added to the burden, making the negative emotions even harder to manage. Marcus concluded that lying about emotions is not a solution. It is merely a delay that cannot last indefinitely. We cannot extinguish emotions as we would a torch, he wrote. We can only confront them, understand them, and, through that understanding, master them. From the young general's story, Marcus derived the lesson that emotions, no matter how uncomfortable, are an integral part of life and must be faced with honesty. Are you hiding your emotions like that young general? If so, pause and ask yourself, does saying "I'm fine" truly help you overcome difficulties, or does it only entrench unresolved problems? Marcus Aurelius saw the path forward, and you can too. Let's come together to support our community. If you are a kind person, please hit the like button on this video and leave some energetic comments to spread positive vibes. Together, we can make a difference. One night, while grappling with anxieties over war and political instability, Marcus Aurelius sat alone in his chamber, the flickering candlelight dancing on the walls. He recalled one of the most meaningful conversations he'd ever had with an old soldier. The soldier, after years of battle, confessed that he always felt fear before each fight, but had never dared to admit it. Marcus asked, "What changed that allowed you to overcome this fear?" The soldier replied, "I started by acknowledging it, then gradually learned to live with it." From this, Marcus discovered an essential rule for dealing with emotions: recognize them instead of avoiding them. In his reflections, he often wrote, "What am I feeling right now? What triggered this emotion?" He didn't shy away from discomforting feelings like anxiety or anger. Instead, he laid them out for examination. He believed that recognizing emotions was the first step to mastering them, because one cannot control what one does not understand. After identifying his emotions, Marcus emphasized the importance of sharing them with trusted individuals. He often encouraged his close advisors and soldiers to share their thoughts and feelings during private conversations. Not only did he listen, but he also helped them see that expressing emotions didn't make them weaker, it made them stronger. Once, when a young general was visibly troubled by his fear before a battle, Marcus said, "Your fear is not your enemy. It is a sign that you care about something. Sharing it helps you control it rather than letting it control you." Moreover, Marcus believed that seeking professional guidance was a sign of wisdom, not weakness. In the Roman Empire, philosophical advisors often acted as spiritual guides. Marcus himself frequently consulted philosophers to better understand himself. He realized that sometimes an outsider could perceive things we fail to see. A philosopher once reminded Marcus, "Your emotions are not the problem. How you respond to them is what truly matters." To maintain his calm and clarity, Marcus practiced daily reflection. Before going to bed, he would sit by candlelight and jot down the day's events and his feelings about them. He would ask himself, "What did I do well? What needs improvement? What emotions hindered me, and how can I face them better tomorrow?" These moments of self-dialogue allowed him to see himself more clearly, adjust his behavior, and prepare for future challenges. Marcus also understood that change is a long journey, not something achieved overnight. He stressed the importance of taking small but consistent steps. He never demanded perfection from himself, but aimed for steady progress. "Be like water," he wrote, "gentle but persistent. It does not break the rock instantly, but erodes it over time." Marcus Aurelius's story serves as a reminder that change is not easy, but entirely possible with patience and determination. He teaches us that to break free from the cycle of hiding emotions, the most essential ingredient is the courage to face ourselves. Don't rush to transform everything in a single day. Start small. Write down your feelings, share with someone you trust, or set aside a few minutes daily for reflection. As Marcus once wrote, "The world may be beyond your control, but your mind is not. Master it, and you will master everything." Are you ready to begin this journey of change today? One morning, Marcus Aurelius stood atop a hill, gazing at the horizon. Below him, the Roman army was preparing for a significant battle. The soldiers busied themselves with their tasks, but what caught Marcus's attention wasn't the swords or the banners. It was the face of a young general he had been observing for months. This general, once someone who constantly hid his emotions, always claiming to be fine no matter the pressure, now looked different. His face no longer carried a cold detachment, but instead radiated calm and determination. Marcus recalled their conversations, moments when the general had dared to admit his anxieties about war, the fear of losing comrades, and the heavy responsibility of making life or death decisions. Instead of ignoring or burying these emotions, he had gradually learned to face them, step by step. He no longer tried to appear perfect, but chose to live authentically. Marcus understood that this small shift, from hiding emotions to acknowledging them, had a profound impact. The young general not only felt lighter, but also built trust among the soldiers under his command. When he shared his anxieties, it didn't make him weaker. It connected him with his comrades. They saw that even the strongest among them could feel vulnerable, and this authenticity deepened the bond within the team. Moreover, Marcus noticed that being honest about his emotions helped the general become a more discerning leader. Instead of allowing latent fears to cloud his judgment, he learned to recognize them, set them aside, and focus on what he could control. When a previous battle had gone awry, instead of denying the failure and insisting that everything was fine, he courageously admitted mistakes, reflected on them, and collaborated with his team to improve. This transparency fostered a renewed sense of strength and unity within the entire army. Marcus also observed that as the general began to change how he handled his emotions, his mental and physical health improved. The sleepless nights that once plagued him were replaced by peaceful rest, as he no longer bore the weight of unprocessed feelings alone. His body recovered, and his mind became clearer. Emotions are not the enemy, Marcus wrote. They are signals that help us understand ourselves. When you learn to listen to them instead of resisting, you will find peace. The general's small change didn't stop with him. It spread throughout the entire army. Soldiers began sharing more openly, no longer bottling up their worries as they once did. They felt more connected, understood each other better, and became more willing to fight for one another. Marcus realized that when one man dares to confront his true emotions, he not only transforms himself, but also inspires others to do the same. As the sunlight began to touch the battlefield, Marcus turned back and smiled. He knew the upcoming battle would be more than a test of strategy. It would be a testament to the mental strength the general and his army had cultivated. The small change, from saying, "I'm fine," to speaking the truth, had transformed a fragmented group into a powerful, united, and determined force. The story of Marcus and the young general reminds us that creating a significant impact doesn't require grand gestures. A small change, like acknowledging emotions and living authentically, can profoundly affect personal lives, relationships, and even larger ambitions. Are you ready to take that small step today? The story of Marcus Aurelius and the young general demonstrates that acknowledging emotions does not make you weak. Instead, it is the first step toward reclaiming your true strength. Hiding emotions, as Marcus once said, is like placing a stone over a fire. It doesn't extinguish it, but only intensifies the pressure, waiting for an eventual eruption. In contrast, confronting emotions helps you understand yourself, live authentically, and forge deeper connections with those around you. The impact of this small change doesn't stop with you. It creates a ripple effect. When others see you living truthfully, they feel encouraged to do the same. When a man dares to admit, "I'm not okay," he not only frees himself, but also inspires others to remove their masks. So instead of continuing to say, "I'm fine," when you're not, start with one small step. Recognize your emotions and admit them. From these small changes, you'll build a stronger, more meaningful life. Thank you for watching this video. Let's support our wonderful community by hitting subscribe and turning on notifications right now. Show everyone that you're living kindly by liking the video and sharing your experiences in the comments. Take action now to spread positive energy.